Welcome to the Real Estate Pros of Houston podcast, where host Mark Zachary talks to high-producing real estate agents in the Houston area about their story and what makes them so successful. Each episode, our guests will tell you what they're doing that works and what makes them so successful, as well as insights that will help you take your business to the next level. Now, here's Mark delivering a true real estate pro of Houston.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. And today we have with us June Onguko. And I hope I got that pronunciation right. But
yes, you did.
Didn't you?
Good job.
Correct me, June. So June, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thank you once again for the opportunity and for reaching out. I look forward to just having a wonderful conversation with you today.
Yeah, that's what I like to do, is just have a conversation and not have a set. I've got some questions here that I can ask, but a lot of it is just conversation and stuff that we just want to hear your story. And when we went out to this company and we said, "Hey, find us the best agents in town," and when I mean best, it doesn't mean you are producing 100 deals a year. That means that you have a great reputation in the area and you take care of your clients and have been in the business a while. And, at first I was thinking, well, we don't want to have part-time agents on here, but there are some really good part-timers right now that are working to make this a full-time job. So they found you, June, and I'm so glad they did. And we're looking forward to hearing your story.
Definitely. I'm excited too. I look forward.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I always start off my interview with or conversation with, tell us your story. How long have you been in the Houston area? How long have you been in the real estate business? Tell us a little bit about your family if you feel comfortable. But
sure.
Just tell us your story.
Perfect. Sure. So, like you said, my name is June. I started real estate or got into real estate a little over 18 years ago. And
wow.
I'm originally from Kenya. That's where I was born and raised. And I moved to the U.S. about 25 years ago. Okay. I came to go to school, study into college right after high school, that is. So I went into college and I did my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in business management and administration.
And where did you say you went?
Sorry?
Where did you go?
Sure. I went to U of H and I went to Keller Graduate School.
Keller.
Yeah. And so after graduating, I kind of had, a desire to build a career in the corporate world. And I did that for about maybe 7 to 10 years. Then I became a mom. And when I became a mom, that usually changes a lot of your priorities.
That's a full-time job. You still get paid for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I became a mom, I realized that I wanted to be able to be there for my daughter at that time, who is now 18, thank goodness. But I wanted to be able to have more time in raising my child. So I had to reevaluate what my priorities were, how I wanted to live life. And so I started exploring different businesses because even though I was in corporate America, I always knew that I wanted to run my own small business at some point. I just knew that's something that I had to do. Because if I can step back a little bit, back in my home country, Kenya, I used to do little businesses here and there, little side hustles, right from middle school. In my middle school, I used to sell candy during recess.
You're like my brother. Yes. He used to sell cinnamon sticks, cinnamon toothpicks. And so, I exactly. Like you already.
Thank you. So I found little, things that were trending, candy types that most of the kids were fascinated with, and I would go to the market on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I would buy a little bit of wholesale, and then I would come to school and I would double up the price and
Look
make
at
a
you
nice
go.
profit for middle
Yeah.
school at that time. And so that started exciting my entrepreneurship spirit. And when I graduated high school, I remember telling my parents at that time that I would only go to college if I was going to go out of the country. But if I was going to be in the country, back in my home country, you are assigned a profession to go to college for based on your results. So about 60% of us were pretty much lumped into being teachers. And
Really?
I was automatically assigned to go to college for a teaching career. Now I knew that that wasn't in me. So I told
And
my
let
parents
me
that
let me
I
ask
just,
you a quick let me ask you a
Mhm,
quick question. You said based on your results. Do you have a
mhm.
test that you have to take right after school?
Yes.
To Okay.
Yeah, so you take it right before you graduate. Like, for example, how you have the graduation here is around May. You
Yeah.
have a final exam that you take at the end of your 4 year. And it's graded based on A, B, C, D mean score. And so
Yeah.
if you make anything like a B plus and below, you definitely cannot qualify for like engineering, medical. Automatically, you are put into like, just the average career path,
hmm
so to say.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. So I ventured into wholesaling, and I was wholesaling so many things back in my country. I was selling vegetables, I was selling corn from wholesale. I would buy it wholesale and resell it to the market. And I was making some good, decent profit. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. But then, thank goodness, this opportunity to come and study in the United States came my way. And it was like a golden ticket for me. So
Really?
I embraced that and I came over, and I'm always very grateful for that opportunity. And like I said, went to college, did my bachelor's and my master's, started working in a career in corporate, got my daughter. When I had her, something in me just flipped. I just knew that I had to find a path that allowed me the freedom to be a
Mm.
mom first and then find a way to make money as well. So that's how I got into real estate. But before the real estate part, I had tried different things. I tried selling Mary Kay products, that is
Okay.
makeup. I sold Avon products. I just realized that wasn't my niche.
Yeah.
I, excuse me, I sold vacuums door to door. Realized that
Oh
wasn't
my
my thing.
gosh. Yeah. I don't, man,
Yeah.
I would die if I had to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I was so hungry to find something that worked, and so I used to embrace any ads that I saw that promised some good returns. I would take them on, go for trainings, and then try it out. And realize that wasn't for me, or that wasn't it for me. I also did insurance selling. I sold insurance for a really while.
Okay.
But then I read a book. How I really got into real estate, I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki. What the rich teach their kids that the poor don't. And it was very intriguing to me because having grown up in Africa, as you may know, there's a part of poverty that we come out of. And even though I didn't grow up with extreme poverty, but my family did not have much growing up. Uh, and up until I came to the US, I grew up with no electricity, no running water. We had a decent house, but I didn't
Wow.
grow up with those things in my household. So I had a motivation to take advantage of any opportunity that came my way. And so when I read that book, the book was so striking to me. It's like, I wonder what that is about. So I
Yeah.
bought the book, came home.
Give the name of the
And
book again.
sure, what the rich teach their kids that the poor
Oh,
don't.
okay. Okay.
Rich
I'm
dad,
gonna
poor
have to
dad.
get that one.
Yeah, it says rich dad, poor dad.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Okay.
that's the book that just really ignited the real estate passion in me. It talked about how to invest in real estate, how to sell real estate. I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of real estate in my life before. So I just got intrigued and I started doing some research. That was back in 2001. And as I was doing my research, I learned that to be a realtor, you would have to go to School of Real Estate. So I looked up the School of Real Estate, and one day I was just driving and I saw a sign, and there was Champion School of Real Estate.
Yep.
So the next day, I found my way back there, and I came and I asked about it. They told me what it takes to be a realtor. Um, I was intrigued, but at that time I didn't have much extra income to even sign up for the classes. So what I did is I took up a cleaning job to clean houses. And I always tell people I cleaned houses to learn how to sell houses, pretty much.
Wow.
So I was cleaning houses on weekends, and I would make about $100 to $150 per cleaning. And each of my classes actually costed around that much, about $99.
Yep.
So that's how I paid for my classes.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and it took me a little longer than it takes most people,
But
but
it means
I
more. You
got it.
worked for it. You worked hard for it.
Exactly. But I got it done. And when I got it, I was just, I was very inspired by myself for having it. Now, I didn't know what it took to really have a real estate business because I didn't realize it's one thing to have a license and it's another thing to learn how to have and run the business of real estate.
Yeah.
So I started just educating myself again, going to seminars, some that I could afford, those that I wouldn't afford. I would go for the free version of it, where they have the
Mhm.
infomercials, they tell you about the products that they're selling, the coaching sessions. I couldn't really afford any of that. So I just used, there was no YouTube. I always tell people, like, people
Yeah.
ask me, why did you not YouTube it? I was like, there was no YouTube back
That
then.
wasn't around. Yeah. That was a long time ago. That's, yeah.
I know, it feels like ages for sure. But I educated myself by just reading. I've always been a big reader and a big supporter of just reading. It's one of my
Mhm.
biggest passions in terms of knowledge, acquiring knowledge. So I did that, and slowly by slowly, I started understanding the market, understanding the business. Was fortunate to work with a broker who trained me. He was a small broker at the time. Well, let me go back a little bit. I started with a larger brokerage, which is what I usually encourage people, especially for training and
Mhm.
development. Usually, large brokerages are wonderful because they have the resources. So I was with a larger brokerage for about 2 years. Learned the ins and outs of the business, and then I branched out to a smaller brokerage. And the smaller broker was really instrumental in helping me understand the side of the business.
Yeah.
Now,
They've got the extra
what
time to do that, right?
exactly?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I shadowed him a lot. I worked for him. I would ask him to give me any deals that he didn't want, or he was huge at the time, according to my estimation, which he was. So I would take on deals that were too small for him, and these were deals like if somebody wanted an apartment at that time, like rent
Okay.
an apartment. Yeah, he would throw them my way. Well, there wasn't much coming out of that, but one thing that I determined was I was going to treat my clients, no matter how small the deal was, I would treat them so well that as though they were buying $1 million house. And my
Yeah.
goal for that was I wanted them to talk about me to people that could easily probably afford homes. And I always tell people that was the game changer for me. My business began to take off from that experience because I would take care of my clients who are renters, would really fight for them. Sometimes we'd go through multiple applications because maybe we had credit challenges here and there.
Hmm.
I would take such good care of them, fight for them that they knew I cared, you know. And the one thing I've always said is, people don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Yeah.
I started with that. It's almost like my personal mission statement on how I treat my clients, that I lead with care, and that to me has been my game changer because by the time even when we finish a deal, close a deal, I hand the keys or I always tell my clients this is just the beginning for us. It's going to be a lifelong relationship. And that's always my goal
Right.
because I'm also a firm believer that you're only as good as your last deal. For the phone to ring, it will depend on how well your last deal went and the relationship that you established, the trust, the comfort that your people felt with you. And so that's always my goal throughout the whole process. Am I communicating? Is my client feeling well taken care of? Am I answering all their questions? Am I making the process much easier for them? Because we all know if you're in real estate, it can be a very complex process to go through. So I
Yeah.
always tell my clients, I'm going to hold your hand through it. I know the route to get there. You trust me. And I do my best to make sure that they feel taken care of, they feel safe, they feel, understood, and they know that I am looking out for their best interest. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
So
That reminds me of, and I'm
mhm.
sorry interrupting, but
No,
that
you're
reminds
fine.
me of a travel agent versus a
Uh-huh.
guide. And you are
Mm,
a guide through this process, not just a
mhm.
travel agents that tell people, well, now you go do this. It sounds like
Mhm.
you are guiding them and walking them through this process
Yes,
versus selling them the process.
exactly.
You're doing it with them. So that's
Exactly.
a major difference between a
Mhm.
guide and a travel
Mhm.
agent that just
Mm, I
sends
like
you on a
that.
trip. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm. No, you're fine. I like the analogy. I'm a talker, so sometimes I can be all over the place. So if
You're
I
good. I
dive too
love
far,
it.
you can try to help me back.
No, you're good. This
Yeah,
is a great story.
yeah. But I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I believe I found what I love to do, and for me, I love real estate itself, but I also the underlying for me is just being able to help people navigate just the challenges that come with being a first-time homeowner, second-time homeowner, buying an investment, finding a rental property, being a seller who maybe is in a situation they really have to get out of a deal. I've had deals where maybe a family is going through life transition or they're going through lifestyle change, could be a divorce, a death, loss of jobs, bankruptcies, foreclosures. And I've had situations where um, if I had to get a commission, my clients would have to bring money on the table to get out of a very bad situations. In moments like that, I've chosen to tell my clients, you know what? I didn't just get in this business for money. I got in this business to help people. And this is a moment where my purpose for being in the business comes to me and I have to rise up to the occasion. And I've, walked away sometimes with $500 instead of 12,000, 15,000. And this is particular one incident where I walked away with 900 instead of 12,000. Yeah, 12,000. And I remember my client crying and saying, I don't know what I would do if it wasn't for you. I don't know what I can give you. I wish I had a way to just give you something back. I say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Um, I believe in the good God. I believe things happen for a reason. And I believe this was my moment to do this for you. Fast forward, this particular client ends up opening a business. The business takes off really well. And guess who becomes the commercial realtor?
Yeah.
I become the commercial because guess what? They remembered that. And
Yeah.
they end up purchasing, so far they've bought about maybe 7 properties, commercial. One of their largest investment we did last year was about 3.5 million. And
Oh
guess
my
who was the
gosh,
realtor?
June.
Yep. You know, and
Man.
so so that is such a validation for me in terms of when you lead with the heart, when you lead with care, it always comes back to you. Always
Yeah.
comes back to you. I can tell you, 90% of our business is referral.
I was
We
about to
do
ask that.
we do very little marketing, though we do marketing because you have to keep marketing to stay relevant and to stay on top of the game. But
Mhm.
really, the source of our business, 90%, I'm very proud to say that, is out of our referrals. And that just goes back to how we take very seriously the process we walk our clients through. So
Yeah.
that by the time I'm on that closing table, if there's one thing I want to hear besides thank you, I want to hear, I'm going to send you my sister. I'm going to send you my coworker.
Right. Right.
That's always my goal because then I know that I have carried forward the business and we are moving into growth and expanding in all different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you stay in touch with all your clients and so they don't obviously they don't forget you because you treated them so well. But do you
Mhm.
have a drip campaign or text campaign that you will just send out a card here and there? What's your secret there?
Sure. So we do. We do keep our database, CRMs, with our clients, and we have, birthday wishes. We try to make sure that we send a birthday on anniversaries of the home purchase or home
Yeah.
sale. We always send something. We have reminders, like we just did one um, uh, earlier this last end of January, where we remind homestead exemptions if you have not completed that. Even though now,
Hmm.
now that you can do it a few months after closing, we keep
Yeah.
a note for that. But we do send something out just to remind and keep in
Right.
touch. And then, of course, on key holidays, whichever holiday is coming up, we always try
Hmm.
to send out something just to make sure that we're staying relevant. And it's kind of, and then we have a text as well, especially with the ones that we've helped within the last couple of months and a year. We try to send out a text message. That way, kind of just
Okay.
like, hey, things are still fresh. Hey, checking up on you.
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July, things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
One of the classes that I taught when
Mhm.
back before COVID shut down all these classes, but it
Yeah.
was about marketing to your database and staying in touch with people,
Hmm.
and I was shocked at the number of people that did not have a CRM. They didn't even
Mm.
keep any of that stuff on an Excel spreadsheet or anything. And
Hmm.
I think I've said on other podcasts that there's so many people that are transactional focused that once they close that deal, they're off
Hmm.
chasing the next thing and they don't even really tie out
Hmm.
the last deal. And they certainly don't, put them into a campaign or into a calendar event to, follow up with them in 6 months, a year down the road,
Hmm.
because they just want to go chase that other deal. And
Hmm.
and we always have to chase new deals, but it is always much more economical to
Hmm.
stay in touch with the people that already trust you to do
Hmm.
what you do anyway. So I was
Exactly.
just really shocked at the number of people that don't have a CRM.
Hmm. Yeah, I learned from just the follow up. If I can, just back right on that a little bit. It's You'll be amazed at how many people when you reach out either had somebody in mind or had a question that was bothering them. And just out of that, you reestablish something,
Yeah.
and yeah. And I think I would say anytime we run a campaign, especially around holidays or, something like that, we always get some kind of referral coming through just out of that. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, I was talking to my brother who is thinking about buying or selling, or, I have my coworker who was telling me about how they're having trouble finding a good realtor, those kind of things. And we're always so happy to kind of capture those, because
Yeah,
it's
for
almost,
sure.
yeah, like they were out there and you kind of went for them, and yeah, and
Yeah,
convert
one
those as
thing we
well.
do is we put people on little drip campaigns, and I
Mhm.
text and call them at least once a year, and
Mm,
but I started sending campaigns that had just local fun things to do in the community, and so like the best hamburger places or the
mm,
uh, top breakfast taco places, and so just fun stuff, parks
I
and
like
different things
that.
like that that they could
Yeah.
go enjoy, and because me and my family we've been here about 17 years now, and I'm
Okay.
originally from Austin, and
Mm-hmm.
I swore when I was growing up and early married life, we swore we'd never move to Houston, and we would go to Dallas, San
Uh-huh.
Antonio, or all these other places,
Yeah.
but never Houston. But I tell you what, we have
Mm-hmm.
fallen in love with Houston, and we fell in love real fast because there's
Wow.
so
Good.
much to do here, and you're close down to the to Galveston, and
Mm-hmm.
so many things to do, and so we try to hit these best hamburger places in the city and best breakfast taco places and ice
Right.
cream shops and stuff like that. So I
Right.
thought, you know what? I think I'm just going to send it out to my database. Just letting them know here's a
Wow.
great burger. I've been there, so go enjoy it.
I like that. I haven't thought about that. I might steal that from you or borrow that
Yeah,
from you.
you know what? I'll just I can forward you the different places that we've uh, picked. But
Wonderful. I'll be happy
yeah,
to have a look at that for sure.
no, good.
Yeah.
So tell me, what kind of challenges are you having right now in your business?
Sure. So I think my biggest one right now would be servicing buyers, some buyers. I would say, especially first time home buyers. And that is because, as you may know, our market has really evolved in the last, especially post COVID. Price points just showed up and have stayed pretty much
Yeah.
around the same price point. And so I have a lot of first time home buyers, which is almost many of my percent of home buyers are usually first time. I have a few
Okay.
investors and second time home buyers, but typically it's first time home buyers because we just kind of have a very good niche with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I'm seeing now is high prices coupled with the interest rates staying where they are right now is pricing a lot of people out of our
Yeah.
market. Especially, I want to say, kind of broke my heart a little while ago when I was helping a teacher making about 48,000 a year, and they wanted to be in the suburbs. I live out here in Cyprus, and they wanted to be around Cyprus and Katy possibly. And just turned out that their pre-qualification, even though they had great credit and had been on the job forever, just couldn't afford those
Yeah.
suburb areas, which I would say 10 years ago, a teacher, a nurse, it was no brainer. We
Yeah.
were getting them help and getting them qualified. And now it almost seems like, one has to be a two income household or just have a
Yeah.
second job to help that income gap. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so
Or
that has
or
been
it
a
pushes
challenge.
them further out to Water and Hempstead,
Right.
all those
Mhm.
places. Yeah.
Exactly. So that has been the solution, having to go Hempstead, if you can't really find anything in Cyprus. And sometimes people don't want to drive that far, but that is
Yeah.
becoming the option if you want to be a homeowner. Yeah, so I would say that's my personal big challenge.
Yeah.
And then, of
My
course,
my
us. Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say also try to be relevant with technology.
Hmm.
Now that there's AI, I don't even. I still try to figure out what is AI before I kind
Oh
of
my
grasp
gosh.
what AI
It's an
is.
awesome tool if you're not utilizing it. It's
I'm
unbelievable.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm just not tech savvy, so it gets me a minute
Yeah.
to get on board. Yeah, but those are, I would say, my two for now.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
Backing up to your number one, my wife's a teacher, and so is
Hmm.
my youngest daughter. And,
Oh, nice. Thank you for
they
that.
have,
Hmm.
yeah. So they were trying to get a house a few years ago, and they were completely priced out, with the rates being, they were really, really low. Well, that was
Hmm.
pulling a ton of buyers out of the apartments and investors, and so all of these houses were getting bid up
Hmm.
in sales prices, and they were just simply priced out. They could not compete with
Hmm.
these people that are offering 20 and 30 and
Oh,
fifty
yeah.
thousand dollars above
Hmm.
asking price. And so
Hmm.
the only way she got a house, or they got a house,
Hmm.
was a friend of ours happened to be moving to Dallas, and he said, "Hey, does your daughter want to buy my house?" And so they
Wow.
bought that house. They're in Waller, just right outside of 99.
Hmm.
We live in Cyprus, and
Hmm.
so you know there are so many people that were priced out either because the prices were too high, or now the rates are too high and the prices
Hmm.
haven't come down like you
Hmm.
said. So it's
Hmm.
frustrating for a lot of people. And you're right that I think you either have to have a second job or have a second income from
Hmm.
another person
Hmm.
to be able to purchase nowadays. Almost, I mean, it's unless you go out to Hempstead, and the
Yeah.
further. Luckily, I-10 is pretty good, and so is 290 now. So it's
Hmm.
easier to get further out. But it's like
Exactly.
you said, a lot of people don't want to drive that far.
No. Yeah, but that's
So
becoming the option. I mean, almost the only option for now.
yeah,
Just have
yeah,
to be open to those areas, farther down Fulshire, and
right.
even those areas now are starting to the
I
prices are starting
know.
to come up. So
Yeah,
yeah, the market
yeah,
is just evolving. I always say I think we're just catching up to some of the bigger cities. We've been fortunate for a long time
yeah.
to have those kind of prices. Yeah.
Yep, you're right. So
Hmm.
what are three non-negotiables in your business or personal life that you say, hey, I've got to do this, or all hell's going to break loose, and my business is going to suffer, or my I don't know, personal life is going to suffer. What are three non-negotiables for you? Sound like you're a very disciplined individual.
Well, not very. I could. There are times I think I need a little more, but non-negotiables for me. One, I for me, it's one is balance,
Okay.
work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very big on being able to live life fully where possible.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very motivated to make it, and that's a good thing. But then I realized that sometimes life happens, and if you're too caught up in just making, you miss out on some things in life.
Yeah.
So I like having work-life balance where my family is
So
taken care of.
how do you do that? How do you make sure you're doing that? Is it
Sure.
a
So
certain day or that you don't work, or you
mhm,
turn that phone off? How do you best do it?
sure. I try to be very intentional on my planning. So I think planning it has been the key for me, and being able to plan ahead so that I'm able to achieve that.
Mm,
For one, I try to have my phone on silence by about 9. Used to be
that
7.
late?
Yeah, it used to be about 7, but as business has grown, I realized, oh my gosh, I'm still working. Yeah, that's not to say that I'm not working at 9. There are times when I'm working until 12 midnight, 1, but
Yeah.
I try to not have outside conversations when I'm trying to zone into the family. So I could be working, but I would be probably like, let's say, over the weekend. I was I was watching basketball with my daughter, who is a basketball player, and I had my laptop with me. But I was there, but also, not 100% there, but still there.
Yeah. Hmm.
When we get a good, play, we would all scream and get up, and I'll put the laptop on the side,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
cheer. Yeah. So planning has really helped me with that. Like, let's say for summer, I try to have 3 vacations with the family.
Mm.
One is always right after school, and in the middle of summer, and then the week before, we do one locally, maybe to Austin, San Antonio, or somewhere.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that helps me with the work-life balance. Like, I already have dates right now that I'm trying to block for summer, and
Yeah.
so even as I work my closings, as I work new clients in, I'm doing that. Another thing I would say is customer service and customer satisfactions are very important to me. Just how we handle our clients, the process from the first call that comes in. Typically, I'm the one that takes the calls when they come in, just because I kind of want to set the tone of what the client can expect, and to also make sure that I hear them. Because to
Hmm.
me, I find that when I hear my clients what they are looking for, and I'm able to deliver, that always already gives me an edge. So I'm very keen on that, and I want to say those are some things I learned from my many trials of business, especially with my Mary Kay sales. We were really taught, on sales and being able to listen and hear the customer. And so that has been something that I've carried into my own business.
Hmm.
Um, Finally, I want to say the networks that I work with are very key for me. I'm very particular on who I work with. Let's say, for example, the inspection companies I use, the lenders that I use. I'm very careful to make sure that they hold the same values that
Hmm.
I hold in terms of how we take care of our clients.
Hmm.
So, if I have a client that feels, lender doesn't call me back after 3 days, or when I call him or her, they're always in a hurry. They don't seem to want to take time to explain. And so I have to do the explaining for the lender. I have to do the explaining on what is a PMI, what is this, I feel like I don't think you care enough the way I care to make sure that your part of the deal is handled and our client feels taken care of. So I would say the networks that I work with are very key in
Okay.
surrounding myself to make sure that uh, it's a whole, if I would say like lineup, it's a whole system. So from
Yeah.
me, yeah, to the lender, to the inspection company, and to the title company as well. I have preferred title companies that I work with that I know are going to take very good care of my sellers and my buyers, occasionally.
Yeah. So you put together a good team and you
Very
work
much
well
so.
together. Yeah.
Mhm,
What's a goal that you've set for you and your team this year? Is there a dollar volume? Is there a unit volume, or what are some goals that you set?
Sure. So we always want to do better than we did the year before. That's always one of our goals. Last year, we closed about both uh, purchases, leases, a few leases, and then sales. We had about 60 transactions.
Okay.
And so our goal is to probably add about 20 to that this
Mhm.
year. So we are shooting for 80. we have dollar amounts, but sometimes it doesn't really translate to dollar amounts. But our goal really is to have at least 5 transactions a month, at least
Okay.
3 solid sales or purchases, and then maybe a lease here and there. But typically, that's usually the goal, to close about 3 to 5 a month.
Now, are you more listing focused or buyer focused? I think you mentioned earlier there's a lot of buyers, right?
Buyers, yes, we are buyers.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Hmm.
Was there ever a time during your, I'm going to back up all the way to high school, when you just finished high school and you were
Hmm.
doing all that, doing you were with the wholesaling and stuff like that. Was there ever a time you're like, man, I just want to give up and I want to do something else? Did you ever say, man, I just want a normal 8 to 5 job, or have you always had this drive?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. As an entrepreneur like yourself, I'm sure you know that would be a lie if I said I had or I've been. I've had plenty of times, but the one that stands out for me would be the market crash in 2008.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I was in
I
the
remember
business.
it well.
Yep, I was in the business then, and all hell broke loose. For me, it was both personally and business. So personally, I had ventured into flipping homes at that time. I
Okay.
was buying foreclosures, putting them on the, fixing them and reselling them. And I had just really gotten pretty much like, deep into the end of things. And when that in 2008, I think at that time I had 3 homes that I was working on, and I had a rental property and I had my own personal home. And when the market crashed, I was not able to sell the flips that I had just completed. And at that time, my husband and I had used all our savings into those homes. I was full time in the business. My husband was working part time at his job. He was kind of thinking we were now on the trajectory to start doing this full time. He would be flipping. I would be in the real estate part of it,
Mhm.
agent part of it. And then the market crashed. And needless to say, we lost all the 3 homes to foreclosure. Then we ended up, we had a rental, and for some reason, our tenant was not able to pay them rent. So for 3 months, and we filed an eviction on them. And they were so angry about that they ended up damaging the house to a point where they left the water running from the attic.
Oh
And
no.
oh, it was horror, like, to say the least. So the water
Oh
was
my
running for
God.
about 3 days before we learned about it, because the neighbors found a way to get hold of us because the streets were flooding with the water. So when we went in, the ceiling had caved down, the whole house was flooded. There was nothing we could do at that time, Mark. We had to let that go as well. So we lost that one too. Couldn't sell it. We had to let it go into foreclosure. And I guess they say when it rains, it pours. We were also in a very challenging time where we couldn't meet our mortgage at the time. So we
Hmm.
fell behind, and we ended up losing our personal home as well.
Oh my gosh, June, I'm so sorry. That was a
Oh,
rough
it
stretch.
was very, very, very hard. I think out of that situation, it took me years to see good out of it, because I really felt like, wow, this if this is what it takes to be an entrepreneur, I don't want to ever hear about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I went through a very, very dark time around that time, and I had just had my second child. So I had a 1 year old when all that was happening, and we
Oh
had
my
to move out of
gosh.
our house, had to move in with my younger sister to her apartment for a couple of months, and I went to a really dark depression. I don't even have some memory of that time, just because of how dark it was, and I didn't know that
Yeah.
it was because of the depression. I don't have memory of some of the things that were happening at that time. And so I took a break from entrepreneurship. I just didn't want to hear anything about it. I didn't want anything because the pain
Yeah.
of risk had just become too painful. Yeah. And so for about a year, I didn't do anything business related. After a couple of months, I took on a job
Hmm.
and worked as a contractor for a HR company. But I was so unfulfilled. I knew when I would get past the anger, I knew that this wasn't me. This is not what I wanted. And then
Yeah.
as God has it or universe has it, or whatever you would say, I had a client of mine ask me to get them a rental for a commercial. And I didn't want to do it, but my husband somehow found a way to go show it to them. I did the paperwork for them without me knowing. And then I ended up getting the check after 2 weeks. And the check was for about 2 months worth of what I was making at my car at the job. And
Really?
somehow it ignited something in me, I
Yeah.
almost felt like, you know what, you can do this again. And so
Yeah.
I started little by little. I started advertising again, and that's a whole another spectrum. What I did, I started little by little, and then I just fully went for it again. I started advertising, standing in gas stations with my business cards, standing at Walmart outside the door with my cards, Kroger. I would
Oh
be
my goodness.
Yeah, I would be dressed up in a whole suit and standing outside. I would start at gas stations when people are going to work at 8 in the morning. When the traffic died down, I would move to Walmart, and it died down. I go to Kroger in the afternoon, and people started calling, Mark. And from there, things started coming back, and here we are.
Wow, man, what a great story. I'm not even anywhere near finished with my questioning. We're at 40, we're at 46 minutes right now. So
I
I
see.
would love to have you back because this is a fantastic story of success. And I
Hmm.
always say that bad things happen to good people from time to time. They do,
Hmm.
and 2007, 8, 9, that was a rough time on a lot of people, and a lot of
Hmm.
people just gave up. And
Hmm.
you didn't give up. You took a break a little bit, and you got right
Hmm.
back in the game. And now look at you. You're
Exactly.
closing 60 transactions a year.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
man, what a story.
Thank
I
you.
would
Thank
love to
you.
have you back.
I'll be glad to. I'll be glad to. This has been wonderful. I've really had an amazing time. I was a little nervous because I'd never done a podcast before,
Yeah.
but you made it very comfortable, and I appreciate you for that.
Well, you bet. I tell you what, there's I do have a couple of questions that I love to ask, but
Mhm.
your story was so intriguing that you're like, okay, forget these sheets. It's but yeah, I will send you the link to
Mhm.
schedule another one, and we'll just do
Okay.
part two of June.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad it went well.
Yes, yes. Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, how would
Mhm.
someone get in touch with you if they
Sure.
want to buy, sell, lease, whatever, or if you're looking to grow your team, how would
Mhm.
they get in touch with you to talk about those, several things?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, my phone number, you can reach us on our phone number, and that will be 281-948-6506 or 832-291-8026. And
Okay.
you can also reach us by email, and our email, the best email to use will be our team email, and that would be the team at juneproperties.net. Again, that would be the team at juneproperties.net. And then, of course, we have Instagram, June Pro. We have our Facebook page, and that is juneproperties.net. And then, of course, our website is juneproperties.net as well. So those will be
Okay.
the best ways to get hold of us.
And if you missed all of that, we're going to have all of those links in the description of the podcast or on our YouTube description as well. So you don't have to back up the recording unless you just want to. We'll have them on there. But great. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
very much. And
I
guys,
appreciate it.
yeah, well, man, I can see why they found you. That's for sure. When I said go find the best in town, I think they found the best in town. This has
Oh,
been
thank you.
quite
That
a
is
story.
flattering. I appreciate that. I
Yeah,
very appreciate that. And I've had a wonderful time. So I thank you for the opportunity as well, Mark.
good deal. Good deal. Well, I'm Mark Zachary. I'm broker and owner of Next Step Home Loans, and we arrange financing for all the purchases and refinances throughout the entire state of Texas. So if we can help answer any questions on those type things, let us know. And our number is scrolled across the bottom as well. But in case
Perfect.
you're just listening to it, it's 832-504-9014. And that's my office number, and we'd be glad to offer any information that we have. All right, thanks again for joining us on Real Estate Pros of Houston, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston. Follow us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and check out our main website at nextstephomeloans.com for more information on mortgage news, loan programs, and getting pre-approved for a home loan or set up a quick home buying consultation. We'll see you next week with another episode of Real Estate Pros of Houston.